Hello, this is Alan Wheeler on my channel where I talk about spirituality and tarot. And today I'd like to talk about the spine, or basically the tree trunk on the Tree of Life in the Thoth Tarot. And my disclaimer again is that I'm new to the Thoth system, and I'm relying on other sources, the Book of Thoth by Crowley, Understanding Aleister Crowley's Thoth Tarot by Lon Milo Duquette has been very, very helpful, along with some sources online. And the first thing I need to address is I made a mistake yesterday when I was talking about the big three in the Thoth Tarot, the pathway of the Emperor, the Empress, and the Magician, those three elements of sulfur, salt, and mercury that form the basis of the great work in alchemy. And I should have remembered that they're actually connected originally and make a kind of a lightning bolt here, moving from the 1 to the 3, the Magician, connecting the 2 and 3 by the Empress, and then connecting the 2 and the 6 actually should be the pathway of the Emperor. Now, Crowley did switch this with the star. I did mention that in the video that's just before this on the playlist. And I think all of these are really connected. And so, as we know, the cards can come in many different orders and spreads, and so I think that's not an issue, but I do like how it makes kind of a lightning bolt in the original configuration there. What I'm doing for myself, and maybe for you if you're watching, is I'm trying to get a big picture of the Tree of Life, and in order to help looking at the smaller pieces as it comes together, and so as not to lose the forest for the trees, so to speak. So one big picture pattern in the Tree of Life is the rule of 3. So one way to think of this is that the 1 contains everything. This is the transcendent unity of the all. But when the all thinks of itself, suddenly there's a reflection, and that's the 2. And this realization that this is different, the reflection is not the same, creates 3. So it creates this triangle above the abyss. And this is all still in that kind of perfect state, perfect spiritual or divine state. Now there's 3 triangles, so these are formed in a similar way. Of course, the 6 is a reflection of the 1, but this triangle is a reflection of the 1 above the abyss. And then the same process that forms this 3, from 1, 2, 3, forms 1, 2, the 3rd triangle. So there's a kind of metaphysical logic to this whole tree, and then the material realm kind of dangles off here like an ornament at the end of the process. So the progression is really from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to 10, so that in any suit, like we'll use fire, for example. Fire in its purest form is in the ace, containing all the rest. And then, still in its very pure forms, but becoming more manifest, in a sense, in the 1, 2, and 3, and then coming below the abyss and all the way down, it is becoming, it's kind of a descent into matter or into the material. There's a shining moment where all is balanced in the 6, and another very happy moment in the 9 called the foundation, before the kingdom of number 10. These are names for the Sephiroth. Before the kingdom number 10 is in formation here. So it is a progression in this sense. The court cards also tell the story. So I'll use the discs as an example. So from the pure Kether comes the supernal father, the king. It's the knight in the Thoth tarot, but in our little fairy tale, I call him the king, borrowing from Duquette's idea of a fairy tale. Then the 3 is the supernal mother and the queen of discs, and the empress connects them, and when they realize that they are indeed one, this kind of experience, this almost reproductive experience, creates something below the abyss. And so the prince comes at number 4. And these court cards correspond to these same numbers in the minor suits. He kind of sets up his realm here, and then at the very bottom appears the princess. And so she is like Cinderella down here. She's the lowest of the low. But to use Crowley's fancy language, the climax of the descent into matter is the signal for redintegration by spirit. So she's actually at the lowest point, just like the 10 in the minor suits. And this signals the cycle to begin again, almost like an electric current starting the cycle again. And so another way I like to think of it, well, she contains a little of everything. So she has the seeds of the whole new beginning. But it's also like the idea of humility in Buddhism, or in Lord of the Rings, the humble hobbits were the only ones able to manage the ring of power to bring the story to its happy conclusion. So those are some of the big patterns in the Tree of Life. So I just want to talk about these pathways as a pathway of meditation, connecting these happy Sephiroth from the 10 to the 9 to the 6, all the way back to Kether, the crown. And so here, connecting the kingdom to the foundation, is the world. And this is the pathway, path 32, from Yesod to Malkuth, or going the other way as well. And as we know, the world card represents the beginning, the end of a cycle, and the new beginning. And we see the oval shape familiar from the wreath on some of the other tarot systems, on some of the other designs. That's kind of the idea, that impossible idea of squaring the circle. And Duquette gives a diagram how that's produced by two overlapping circles, and taking this point where they overlap as the, I'll try to pronounce this correctly, the Vesica Pisces, and then using that as the centerpiece with 4 circles in the outer corners. And so that's a familiar, that's the kind of the philosophical underpinnings of why the world card is drawn in this manner. So we have the idea of spiral or cycle seen in the spiral around the figure's head, in the serpent that is coiled, and in the Vesica Pisces, which appears twice in the card, the big oval, and also in this eye that could be considered to be shining forth the universe, as this is called the universe card in the Thoth Tarot, or drawing everything back in, depending on how you're moving on that pathway, how you're looking at that card, as all the elements come together. Moving from the 9 to the 6, we have the Temperance card, and this gives us a clue why in the pictorial guide to the tarot, Waite kind of hinted at this being one of the most important cards in the deck, and this may explain why. Connecting up to the 6 here, and this is the consummation of that royal marriage begun in the 6, in the Lover's card. And I discussed in the last video how we see the Orphic egg, how we see in this cauldron the vitriol being created, and that is the key to the great work. So the old life is going to be dissolved to make way for the new creation. She's also, you can see 2 bows here in the top, kind of alluding to Diana the Huntress. And in some depictions, Diana is the many-breasted one, and so we see that reflected here in this card. I mention that because it echoes the next pathway, which is the Priestess. And in the earlier video, we talked about this pathway from the 1 to the 6, and how the Priestess has a bow on her lap, alluding to Artemis, the Huntress, in the Greek stories. And it's also doubles as a harp because she hunts by enchantment. So this, reaching the 6 here, and reaching this pathway, Crowley considered one of the most important levels of initiation in the Golden Dawn. And he said here is where we long to meet the holy guardian angel. And Duquette mentions that we see this principle in many spiritual paths, whether Krishna in the Hindu pathway, who said, "Only by single-minded devotion can I be known in this transcendent form," or Jesus, who said, "I am the way," or many other incarnations, avatars, and bridges to the transcendent, maybe impersonal deity. And Crowley said that rising in this straight line, rising in a vertical straight line to the holy guardian angel, is the best, is the only way, basically, that anything else, any deviation, is black magic. And so this may be reflected in this pathway that moves upward here. And then the next, after level 5, Crowley did say that the next most important level was moving through the abyss, actually, and losing all ego and coming up into this highest triangle at level 8 here. So that is looking at some of the cards and pathways just to aid in meditation, in study of this deck. So that's kind of the one way of looking at this spine or tree trunk on the Tree of Life in the Thoth Tarot. So I'll stop here, and I'll ask you to like or subscribe just so this video can get out to others. The algorithm will make it more available to others who might be interested. And as always, I hope you will find connection with people in your life, an online community, and on your spiritual path, whatever that may be. Take care.